Hello and welcome to Daily Prelims Practice. Here we take up MCQs based on important articles and news from the Hindu and the Indian Express newspaper. Topics which we are going to cover today are displayed on your screen. Let's begin the discussion. Now let's start our session with our first question, which is based on this article, and this article appeared on page 1 in the Hindu newspaper. The context of this article is that Congress said that it will ask 3 questions a day related to Adani issue to Prime Minister. Now, as you know, question hour is one of the devices of parliamentary proceedings. Also, UPSC has already asked question based on devices of parliamentary proceedings which came in year 2017. So here we have curated practice question based on the same theme. So in this question you have to identify the incorrect statements. So the first statement is a start question requires a written answer. Now a start question requires an oral answer and hence supplementary questions can follow. So our first statement is incorrect. On the other side, unstart question requires a written answer and hence supplementary questions cannot follow. Now let's come to the second statement. A short notice question is answered orally. Now this statement is correct as short notice question is one that is asked by giving a notice of less than 10 days and it is answered orally. Now let's come to the third statement. A question can be asked only to the ministers. Now this statement is incorrect as in addition to ministers, the question can also be asked to the private members. So answer of this question is option C, that is 1 and 3 only. Answer of this PYQ is option D, 1, 2 and 3. Now our next question is based on this article, and according to this article, Election Commission of India will not replicate in northeastern states going to poll this month its initiative in Gujarat last December where it signed MOUs with workplaces to determine whether employees who take leave on election day actually cast their votes. Now context of this article is not relevant for your UPSC Prelims examination. But as UPSC has been asking questions based on different constitutional bodies, like this question came in year 2017. So here we have taken practice question based on same theme. Here you have to identify correct statements with respect to Election Commission of India. The first statement is the Chief Election Commissioner and 2 other election commissioners have equal power. Now as you know, according to Article 324, Election Commission shall consist of Chief Election Commissioner and such number of other election commissioners if any as the President may from time to time fix. Now Chief Election Commissioner and the 2 other election commissioners have equal power and receive equal salary, allowances and other prerequisites which are similar to those of Judge of Supreme Court. So our first statement is correct. Now let's come to the second statement. They are removed by the same process and on same grounds. Now this statement is incorrect as Chief Election Commissioner is provided with the security of tenure. He cannot be removed from his office except in same manner and on same ground as Judge of the Supreme Court. But Constitution has not specified the term of the members of Election Commissioner. Now let's come to the third statement. It acts as court for settling disputes related to granting of recognition to political parties. Now this statement is correct as it acts as court for settling disputes related to granting of recognition to political parties and allotment of election symbols to them. So answer of this question is option D, that is 1 and 3 only. Now let's come to the PYQ. Now as you know, Election Commission is a 3-member body. So our first statement is incorrect. Also, it is Election Commission who decides the election schedule for the conduct of both general and by-elections. So our second statement is also incorrect. Now let's come to the third statement. Election Commission resolves the disputes relating to splits, mergers of recognized political parties. Now this statement is correct. So answer of this PYQ is option D. Now our next question is based on this article, and this article appeared on page 5 in the Indian Express. This article talks about SALIMGARH Fort, Mehrauli Archaeological Park and QUTUB Complex as well as its surrounding area, which are up for a revamp ahead of the upcoming G20 summit. Now as these are examples of archaeological sites, and you know architecture is an important theme under Indian heritage and culture which is quite relevant for your UPSC Prelims examination. Also, UPSC has already asked question based on different sites. Like this question came in year 2018 based on Buland Darwaza, Rumi Darwaza. So here we have curated practice questions based on different archaeological developments during medieval India. So the first statement is Quwwat-ul-Islam Mosque at the QUTUB complex was commissioned by Alauddin Khilji. Now, Quwwat-ul-Islam is the earliest surviving mosque in India and stands in Qutub Minar enclosure in Delhi. It was begun in 1193 by Qutb-ud-Din Aibak, the first Sultan of Delhi and founder of slave dynasty. It was further extended by Alauddin Khilji, who built two gateways on the eastern side and one on northern and southern side. So our first statement is incorrect. Now let's come to the second statement. Salimgarh Fort at the Red Fort complex was built during the reign of Jahangir. Now Salimgarh Fort was built in 1546 AD by Salim Shah Suri, son of Sher Shah Suri. So our second statement is incorrect, and this fort is a part of Red Fort complex. Now let's come to the third statement. Qilai-Kuna Mosque at the Old Fort in Delhi was built by Sher Shah. Now, a prominent structure of the Purana Qila is Qila-e-Kuna Mosque built by Sher Shah in 1542 CE. This mosque is an aesthetic structure that reflects a transitional stage between the architecture of the Lodhis and the Mughals. So third statement is correct. So here we have to identify incorrect statements. So our answer is option C, that is 1 and 2 only. Answer of this PYQ is option D. Now our next question is based on this article which appeared on page 11 in the Indian Express. According to this article, All India Muslim Personnel Board said that implementing the Uniform Civil Code will be against the spirit of Constitution and affect the unity and harmony of the country. Now, DPSP along with fundamental rights and fundamental duties forms an important theme from the perspective of UPSC Prelims examination, as in 2017 it has asked a question based on DPSP and its objective. So let's come to the practice question. Here first statement is, it is based on the objective resolution drafted by and moved by Pandit Nehru. Now, preamble of the Indian Constitution is based on objective resolution drafted and moved by Pandit Nehru and adopted by the Constituent Assembly, whereas DPSP resemble the instruments of instructions enumerated in the Government of India Act 1935. So first statement is incorrect. Now let's come to the second statement. The Constitution classifies the Uniform Civil Code under liberal and intellectual principles. Now, Constitution does not contain any classification of directive principles. However, on the basis of their content and direction, they can be classified into three broad categories, that is socialistic, Gandhian and liberal intellectual. And under this practice, Article 44, that is to secure for all citizens a uniform civil code throughout the country, is categorized as liberal intellectual principle. So our second statement is incorrect. Now let's come to the last statement. Backwardness of the country was one of the reasons for making the directive principles non-justiciable and legally non-enforceable. Now, the framers of the Constitution made the DPSPs non-justiciable and legally non-enforceable because the country did not possess sufficient financial resources to implement them. Second, the presence of vast diversity and backwardness in the country would stand in way of their implementation. And the last is the newly born independent Indian state with its many preoccupations might be crushed under the burden. So our third statement is correct. So here our correct answer is option C, that is 3 only. Now let's come to the PYQ. Answer of this PYQ is option D, neither 1 nor 2, as DPSP does not constitute limitations upon legislative and executive function. Rather, fundamental rights act as limitations on the legislative and executive function. Now our next question is based on this article, and according to this article, Tamil Nadu Chief Minister M.K. Stalin has requested Prime Minister for relaxation in the paddy procurement norms on account of the unseasonal rain that affected the samba crop in the Kaveri Delta. Now in this regard, we have seen the questions testing the basics of geography have been asked in the prelims examination. For example, in 2017, UPSC had tested the association of Indian Ocean Dipole and its impact on Indian monsoon. So the first statement is, Indian Ocean Dipole phenomena is characterized by a difference in sea surface temperature between tropical Western Indian Ocean and tropical Eastern Pacific Ocean. Now this statement is incorrect, as Indian Dipole is irregular oscillation of sea surface temperature in which Western Indian Ocean becomes alternatively warmer and then colder than the eastern part of Indian Ocean. So now let's come to the second statement. An IOD phenomena can influence an El Nino's impact on the monsoon. Now this statement is correct, as if IOD can either aggravate or weaken the impact of El Nino on Indian monsoon. If there is positive IOD, then it can bring good rains to India despite of an El Nino year. So answer of this PYQ is option B. Now let's come to the practice question. Question says, with reference to tropical depressions during monsoon season in India, which of the following statement is correct? So the first statement is, easterly jet stream takes the tropical depressions away from India during monsoon season. Now this statement is incorrect, as easterly jet stream steers the tropical depressions into India. Now let's come to the second statement. The depressions play a significant role in the distribution of monsoon rainfall over the Indian subcontinent. Now this statement is correct. Now let's come to the third statement. The area towards the north of these depressions are the areas of highest rainfall in India. Now this statement is incorrect, as tracts of these depressions are the areas of highest rainfall in India. Most of the rainfall in central and northern part of the country is caused by these depressions. The absence of depression or a change in their track result in deficit or no rain. Thus, area lying north of these depressions would witness a deficit in rainfall. So answer of this practice question is option C, that is 2 only. Now our last question is based on this article, and context of this article is not relevant for your prelims examination, but as Tripura is important part of northeastern region, which is important from geography point of view, and also UPSC has been asking question based on different aspects of important mountains. So here we have curated practice question on the similar lines. Here you have to identify the correct pair. So the first option is Betling Sib is the highest peak of the Jamrai mountains in Tripura and not in Assam. So first pair is incorrect. Next is Phangpui or Blue Mountain is the highest mountain peak in the Mizo Hills or Lushai Hills in Mizoram and not in Tripura. So second pair is also incorrect. Third is Mount Saramati is the highest mountain in Nagaland and not in Mizoram. So our third pair is also incorrect. So here correct answer is option A, that is none of the pairs. Answer of this PYQ is option B, that is 2 only.